guys, welcome back to another video. As you saw, rode the bike to the gym, which was awesome. It's a good way to clear the head before you get into the gym, get mentally ready for it. So I'm pretty bummed out. I'm working out with my editor slash client, Sam White, right here, and we had a great video, a bunch of cool points that we got to talk about, advice that we got to, and we lost all the audio. Not sure what happened, but that's why we're doing the voiceover today. So I'm going to try to summarize up the workout, not only the movements that we're doing, why we're doing them, but also just some of the things that we talked about. And right here, we're pre-fatiguing the lats because I am trying to focus more on my rear delts and upper back area. And I know if I were to start with those areas, my lats would still just try to take over, even if it was like a really wide grip T-bar row, which is like really rear delt and trap focused. I know my lats would take over. So pre-fatiguing out the lats with these first two movements. And one thing we talked about while we were doing these rows is people often think that they need to do one or the other, like hypertrophy or strength training. And I think the guys that see the best results, or at least have the most fun in the gym, is when they don't hold themselves to one thing. Like right there, I started super heavy on those rows, and I did like maybe 6. And then I dropped and did, 6 more. And that's the set. I did 12 reps in total, but those first 6 sets were like super heavy. So don't feel like you need to be stuck to like just strength or just hypertrophy. I think the most thickness and also aesthetics that you can get is going to come from having a fun balance between both. But these right here are another great, honestly, my favorite lat biased movement. It's like the sole purpose of your lat is like pulling up and across your body. As you can see, I'm in some pain there. It hurts that bad. It's such a good, gnarly stretch and burn. But, Sam here was a little closer than I would have liked. Now that I'm watching back the film, I would have had him step back a little more, so it's more of a pull up across the body. But like I said, these are super amazing. We have, I'm trying to see what kind of grip we have. It's one of those like tight mag grips, but you can use any sort of, V-bar or any sort of tighter grip that you want. You could even do like a reverse grip on just a normal lat pull down bar. But did a little drop set here for him. I think we did like 3 or 4 of those rows that you saw in the beginning, and then we did like 2 or 3 of these. Like I said, just really fatiguing out those lats before we move on to what's gonna be, I think, barbell rows. Yeah. So barbell rows now. Now these I have just been killing. I realized that one of the main reasons my upper back and rear delts weren't as developed as I wanted is because I never really do barbell rows. They were just kind of uncomfortable for me. But it was one of those things I knew I just had to bite the bullet, start doing more and get more comfortable. And now I'm actually starting to like it. It's like deadlifts. Like doing deadlifts is not fun at first. Everything feels uncomfortable. Your back hurts. But once you get in the groove of it, it becomes a lift that you actually look forward to. So been starting to do these. These are like just blasting the traps and rear delts now that the lats aren't really, wanting to be engaged. Like I can physically feel my traps and rear delts engaging way more now because they are, they're the only things that are really working. So moving on after that, now that we've kind of murdered out the upper back and got some good sets in, we're doing the lat pull downs, except we have this bar. I think it was called a Tsunami bar. And I've never used one of these before, but man, I got to get one of these like at a gym near me, because doing the lat pull downs on this felt amazing. And I could compare it really to like, I use a like green band, like a thick green band for like tricep push downs sometimes, or like pullovers. And this is what I could compare it to. Thanks, Sam, for flipping my hat around for me. But for some reason this bar like moves as you pull it. So it makes you stabilize it way more. It makes you feel it in your lats way more. Something about having a bar that flexes makes you feel it so much more. And that's how I feel with my, using the band on push downs or pullovers, things like that, is there's a lot of movement in the pullover or in that movement because, you're using a band. So that weight bounces up and down and it just makes you feel it way more in the muscle. That's what I'm trying to say. So now we're doing rear delts here. just wrapping up the workout with some shoulders. I love to just finish every workout if I can with shoulders. Now, sometimes I will take a break. One day I'll be like, okay, I need to give my shoulders a rest. But I think your shoulders need a lot of volume. There's a few very rare individuals who don't really need to train shoulders because either they're genetically just predispositioned to have great shoulders, or they trained them a lot when they were younger and now they have great shoulders. Like gymnasts probably have great shoulders already and don't need to train them that much. But for myself, in the last 3 or 4 years, I've really started to notice that I need to train shoulders because they were something I neglected, and then they're also the most important, honestly the most important muscle group on your body for getting an aesthetic physique. So right now, me and Sam are doing the rear delts, and then we're doing just these side raises. I think we did 3 or 4 sets of each just to wrap up the workout. But back is fried, shoulders are getting there as well. Now, one thing we were talking about on the rear delts is we were talking about the whole movement of the Young LA lifters and sort of this, like, I don't have anything against Young LA. I wanted to be sponsored by them for a while, and never got it. And this isn't like a retaliation because I never, was able to get in contact with them or get sponsored by them. But I'm starting to realize like the whole fitness industry is kind of, or has been going darker. It has been going like, gambling, sex, cars, like it's just been going into a dark spot. And I think with the recent events like Charlie Kirk's death and all this other craziness that's going on in the world, I think a lot more people are coming to Christ, especially in the fitness industry, and realizing that, this sort of like, I don't want to say that we can't be like rugged dudes and like want cool stuff and, live cool lives, but like we were really going into a dark stage that just chased being jacked, having girls, having cars. But really it should be, and this is the way it's going, and I think people are realizing it, is it should be being jacked, loving Christ, providing for your family. That's where the motivation should be. And I see the shift now. And I just think, some of the brands have been pushing a lot of these guys who are doing things that aren't really great for the next generation. So that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to love God, lift weights, and live life. See you next time.